So everyone tells coaches and consultants you need to build a marketing funnel. But what if that's the wrong way to think about attracting clients? So take it from me. I was a professor of entrepreneurship and I designed the most popular marketing course in the major. And the funnel dates back to 1898. It has been in textbooks since the 1960s. It is an academic construct for how people buy physical products. But you're not selling air fryers or leggings, right? You're selling the solution to a problem. And that requires building a relationship. So let me show you a better way to think about marketing. It's going to be a better way for you to get clients in the door, and it's going to match how people actually make buying decisions when they want to hire an expert. So I call it building your map to me, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to create yours today. I'm Laura Zalvelson, and this is the GenXpert Show, where we talk about how you can use your experience and expertise to build a business that gives you back control of your time, your impact, and your financial opportunity. So you can create a life where you never, ever have to be out there looking for a job again, unless you really want to. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at that marketing funnel. So there's a lot of variations of this picture in on the web and of various textbooks, but the big idea is that you reach a lot of people up here at the top, and that some percentage filter down to each level, engaging more and more until some smaller group of people buy. Okay. Cognitively, this is a great model for understanding, but it doesn't actually mirror the way real people act when they're buying a service that requires building a relationship. So real people jump around, right? They lurk and they click your profile and maybe they check you out a month later and then they follow you on social media. And then they hear you on a podcast and so they visit your site again. And maybe this time they download something or they read a post, right? There's a marketing research firm called Forrester, and in 2021, they put out a report that said B2B customers actually need 27 touch points before they're ready to make a buying decision. And that's up from 17 touch points in 2019, which was before the pandemic. So, in the end, I think this change is really about the amount of noise is increasing, right? And people's trust is decreasing. Now, you're going to see if you Google it, all that 27 number all over the internet. And I think we need to be careful about extrapolating Forrester's B2B data, which was probably about selling into big corporations, just selling to consumers or selling to small businesses. But it's a good reminder directionally about the noise levels and the trust levels. At the end of the day, when someone is trying to hire a coach or a consultant, there's a series of things that they need to believe before they're ready to buy. And I cover all of that in this other video, which you can watch next. And I have a free download called the Thought Leadership Content Generator that will walk you through the whole thing. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a simple shift that will help you do a better job delivering that information to your potential clients so they can buy from you faster. So I created the Map to Me framework for my clients in business breakthrough, and it's a tool that sits right between the third piece of the revenue engine, which is your belief shifting content, and marketing, which is how you get visibility. So if your content is one piece and driving traffic is another piece, the Map to Me sits right between, and it's the plan for where you're going to drive that traffic to make your audience's journey from discovering you to buying from you as short as possible. Basically, we use the Map to Me framework because before you can create an effective marketing strategy, you need to create a solid plan for how people are going to find you, get to know, like, and trust you, believe and understand your solution, and then ultimately make a purchase. The map to me is built on four circles of influence, and each one is designed to build trust and pull people closer to working with you and to taking that action that's at the core right here. So, no matter how they bounce around inside the circle, everything should lead to this action here at the bottom. So, the action piece is whatever is closest to paying you, frankly. So, for most of you, that's going to be book a call or buy now, right? Okay, core, that's where your long form thought leadership content goes. So your YouTube content, your blog, your podcast, and if you have a low ticket offer, we're going to talk about where that goes in just a minute, okay? Now, broadcast, this is the social amplification or email amplification of that core message. And then the power level, that's when other people help you spread your message. So that would be like guesting on a podcast, okay? So the next thing we're going to go do is we're going to dive in and see exactly what kind of content goes in each one of these circles. So I want this to be as large on your screen as possible, and I hope you can read it. So that action that you take, that action part of the circle, this is your main program. I want it to be the one where you generate most of your revenue. Okay. All of your content needs to lead people to making that buying decision. All right. So let's talk about how we use content to drive them there. What we do is we use the content that lives at this core level to build deep trust. So here's where I want you to pick the content format that works best for you. So maybe that's video if you like to be on camera. Maybe it's a blog if you like to write. Maybe it's a podcast if you like to talk. And pick something that you actually like to do. If you're a better talker than a writer, don't start a blog. If you hate the sound of your voice, maybe don't start a podcast, right? Pick something that you can do consistently and confidently, because the value of your content here can go a long way to creating that trust we've been talking about. So, the core area is where you showcase your thinking, your frameworks, your hot takes on industry trends, okay? And if you're wondering exactly what to write about that will have the most powerful impact on your clients, I'm going to remind you that I have a free PDF in the video description in the show notes with prompts designed specifically to walk clients through those belief shifts that they need to have before they're ready to buy. Okay, now, if you do have a low ticket offer or a bite size offer, it lives in this core area on the map to me. All right. And it should help people uncover a problem that gets solved by your main offer. All right. So for a consultant, a lot of times this is some kind of an audit. For coaches, it's something that naturally leads to an opportunity to go deeper with you. By the way, I think there are coaches out there who suggest that you can make an entire business out of selling low ticket offers. And I'm not going to argue with them. If that's your business model, then that's fine. If that is your business model, then your core content can go ahead and drive people to those low ticket offers. I'm not a huge fan of that plan because I think requires a lot of selling. And generally, we're talking about running ads to get that kind of volume to make a living doing that. But if that's your strategy, that's how I would modify the map to make it happen, right? I would use my core content to drive people to my low ticket offer. But if I have a low ticket offer and I want to use it to drive people to my high ticket offer, then the low ticket offer sits in that core area of the map. And then the high ticket offer is the action at the center of the map, or at that bottom center circle. Okay. So this next circle I call broadcast, and this is where we start thinking about how you get the core content in front of your audience. So this is where you use social platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? This is where your email list comes in. This is your newsletter, okay? Now you can be strategic about this and pick just a couple of channels. You don't have to be everywhere in order to have an effective broadcast strategy. And if you don't want to spend all your time creating content, this is where you can get really strategic about repurposing your content. This video podcast, for instance, is going to turn into a blog post, an email, a LinkedIn newsletter, and probably 3 or 4 vertical videos that I'm going to push to LinkedIn and to YouTube Shorts. And by the way, if you're interested in my process for doing that, drop me a note in the comments and I'll create a video about it. So, this outer area of our circle set is called the power area. And I think it often gets neglected in terms of creating a marketing strategy. But this is super important because it's where other people help you get visible and spread your message. So, this is podcast guesting. It is writing an article, speaking at workshops. It's joining a referral circle, right? This is where we build credibility. It's where we build reach without having to do it all yourself. And as a trust builder, social proof is probably the most effective trust builder of all. Let me give you an example of how this works in real life. So, I have a client who does leadership coaching for executives by using creativity. Okay, and she was posting regularly in the broadcasting area of the 4 circles, but the subject matter wasn't tied together. And it was vaguely tied to sort of leadership, but not necessarily how she used creativity to impact leadership development, right? So it's like quotes and inspirational stuff. They got a lot of likes, but not a lot naturally led to sort of book a call or buy my thing. So what we did was we focused on having her create some core content down there at the core level of the map. And because she's a creativity coach, she was able to share pictures of whatever she was working on with a particular team. So at the core level, we connected the photos with stories. And then the photos made great content for the broadcast level and they attracted attention. Now, she didn't need to focus as much on the power content level because she already had strong credibility within her referral network. They just needed a better understanding of what she was actually working on and how she could create change in their organization. So it wasn't that she needed more writing or more posting. What she needed was a clear strategy to post content that would increase her clients' understanding of how she got results. So, why does the map to me work better than the funnel concept? Well, let's walk through it real quick. First, it acknowledges that people do not always travel in a straight line when they're buying solutions. Second of all, it plays to your strengths in terms of content generation and allows for a way for other people to really understand what you do to drive change and results. Okay. Then it makes sure that you're not focusing all of your effort in one place, right? If you put all your effort in core, you're never going to get discovered. If you put all your effort in broadcast, it's hard for people to see a there. Okay. And if you jump to power before you've created kind of a core message, well, it's going to be hard to get somebody to even accept your pitch. And you're not going to be able to have the kinds of deep conversations that help people remember you. There's actually a forcing function here when you use the map to me to create your content strategy, because you have to think about how people are going to interact with each piece of content and how they might move between the circle levels as they move towards trusting you enough to buy from you. So if they discover you in the power level, what are they learning and what kind of content do you want to offer them next? And if they find you at the broadcast level, what do you want them to do next, right? Where do all the roads lead? Where you want them to lead is to that action piece where they're actually going to connect with you directly. So if you feel like your funnel's not working, or maybe you never even built one in the first place, it might be time to think about designing your map to me because it's more aligned with how people research and buy services in the digital age. If you want help building yours, figuring out what kind of content goes in each circle, the key themes to write about, what you want that core action to be, basically designing the client journey, right? This is exactly what we do in Business Breakthrough. So you can leave me a comment that you want more information, or you can actually DM me over on Instagram. I'm at Laura Zovelson. But if you're not ready for that yet, don't forget to grab my free thought leadership content generator. It will give you 52 prompts for creating that core content that will fill out that circle, and then the pieces of that that will become your broadcast circle. Okay. If this video was helpful for you today, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And if you have questions, please do ask in the comments. I really do read them and I really do answer. So that's going to do it for me today. I have zero idea about what I'm having for dinner tonight, and I got to stop by the store and grab a few things on my way home. So you have a good one, and I will see you next time.